Hello, low-born people. Welcome to a Eurocentric edition of ARG Presents. I'm your good buddy, your good pal, and leader of the Roman people, Marcus Aurelius, joined by,
It's just the dude, man.
or indeed. The dude?
The dude. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude.
Indeed. That's what I call adherence to a gimmick, my friend. So, if you joined us last week, you'll know by now. We spun the wheel. We made the deal. It's a legendary deal. As we look at BAM, European exclusive games. European exclusives, dude. Now listen, I don't know what your the extent of your game playing time is, but let's talk about it for a moment here. European exclusive games, why do they happen? It's a good question to ask. Why would you go to the bother of making a game to only release it in the European market? Your thoughts?
You don't think it's going to sell anywhere else?
But still,
they have their own taste in game.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. I guess some of it could be that the game is based on something that wouldn't be popular in other areas.
Yeah.
Like the Asterisk games. Like over here, Asterisk, this is a thing. Like I never heard of Asterisk until I started getting into retro gaming. But that's a good example of a game that wouldn't fly over here. But I mean, still, to me, it seems like if you spend all that money to get the game ready.
It's also to cross the pond. It takes money. It takes a lot of money. If you don't think your game is going to be particularly successful, or if it's of a subject matter that might be offensive to other regions, why go through the expense?
Well, I guess I suppose you're correct. You know, I wonder how much of it goes into the fact that there's the PAL thing. Maybe that's
probably very little. I would think very little.
You know, having done this show and of course a few other shows that I may be involved in, I've played a lot of European exclusive games, but most of them were on European systems.
Yeah.
Today, we have picked a couple that are on what I would call systems of the world, as it were. But do you have, when you think of a European exclusive game, aside from the one you picked, like, did you go through some ideas?
Well, sure. Like, bowling is universal, man.
Right. But is it really? Do they bowl in Australia? Do they bowl in, like, Italy, for example, Rome? Do they bowl there?
I would assume.
They've got that the French thing. I'm flipping through the channels the other day in my palace, and I come across the bowling championships.
Right.
But it's not bowling. It's the gimmick where you go out in the yard with those little balls and roll.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the French thing?
Yeah.
I've never seen that on TV before in the States. So apparently it's leaking over.
Shoot, that has a name.
It's called bowling, isn't it? BOUL something? I don't know. I digress. But for example, if there was a game of that, it probably wouldn't do well here.
It probably would not do well here.
Something like cricket would probably do poorly here. I know they release cricket games quite often. Probably a lot of soccer games, at least back in the day, in the retro day, where soccer wasn't as big a deal as it is now. They probably wouldn't fly too well either over here.
Well, you've also got, games, historic games that are based on just the region, the region of the history of the region. Sorry.
I know what you're talking about there. How many of those White Russians have you drank today, there, dude?
A couple.
Did you have any runners up this week before you picked the big dog?
No. Well, sorta. First of all, it's actually difficult to find European games that didn't come to America on a system that was available in America. It was very difficult. But I looked at a few, and the game I picked is actually infamous for a non-game related topic. So that's ultimately why I picked it. Well, because it had a good story. I mean, it fit the bill, and it also had a good story.
I'm going to get to my game first, but I want to talk about how I got to mine while we're here, and that is something that you saw a lot of, at least I did, in the European exclusive category, especially on a couple key systems. And these are games that were developed on computers and were popular in Europe, but I guess they didn't think they had enough jack to make it over here. And I'll give you an example of that. As we flip through these highlights here, if you're watching at home, some of these are Game Boy Advance games. And one of the games on here was a game that was very popular on the Amiga and in Europe called Speedball 2. In fact, I bought a copy for the Amiga in the States. So clearly there was an audience for it. But it was a Game Boy Advance exclusive or Game Boy Color exclusive because they didn't think it would go over here, which strikes me as odd. But that is a reoccurring theme. Games that came from computers or were popular that didn't make the cut over here. And when I looked at things along those lines, I thought to myself, what game would you like to see that maybe got augmented on a machine that you've already played? And that's sort of how I came to pick the game that I ultimately picked. So
all right.
We'll go ahead and get into it here. So with that reasoning in mind, I thought, you may not know this, the Brent, but I've got a thing for the old Amiga computer. I love the Amiga.
I've heard you talked about it once or twice.
Yeah, that's right. And so there's a game that me and you both love in the arcade, all right? And that game is a little game I like to call Silkworm. A great game is Silkworm. And me and you played this before I knew anything about the Amiga. We were playing this, and we loved the Silkworm.
Back in the arcade even, yeah.
And Silkworm in the arcade, a great game where you have a two-player simultaneous play. It's a side-scrolling shooter, and one person plays a Jeep, and one person plays a helicopter. And you go through the game, and it offers two unique experiences in one nice package.
It does, yes.
And so this game was ported to home systems, and the premier port, I'd say, without doubt, would be the Amiga port. A tremendous port.
Yeah.
I mean, almost, I don't want the word arcade perfect gets thrown around, but it was right. It was in the wheelhouse, having played them both. A beautiful game. And so it was a popular release on the Amiga. And, of course, you would think to yourself, well, hey, let's see what we can do in terms of getting some sequel action. Now, SWIV, which was released on the Amiga, is not a true sequel. In fact, there was no true sequel for Silkworm, but the guys that worked on Silkworm worked on SWIV, and they also included many elements of the game into SWIV. The difference being where Silkworm was a scrolling right shooter.
Horizontal.
SWIV was a vertical shooter. So it changed the dynamic, particularly when you're playing the G. Well, it's really changed all across the board.
Yeah,
it's a different dynamic.
Absolutely.
But they pulled it off, and they captured a lot of what made Silkworm a fun game. And so and we both have also played SWIV and enjoyed it. And I like it. I think I like Silkworm a little more, but I do like SWIV, and SWIV updates Silkworm in a lot of ways, graphically and whatnot. And so when it was time for me to choose a game, my reasoning was I'd not heard about. There were a game I was going to pick before this was the Genesis release of Slap Fight, which is a game we call Alcon. But we played Slap Fight on another machine once, and also it wasn't European exclusive. I was disappointed. And so I thought, well, what can I do that falls in a line with something I've played that I want to try? And so what I stumbled upon was a game called MEGA SWIV for the Mega Drive, developed by SCI Games Limited and published by Time Warner Interactive of all people, Brent. Now
they didn't do a lot for the system, but they did not.
In fact, here's what SCI Games only developed two other games on the Mega Drive, and there was a game called Mr. Tough, which that sounds very European, and then a game I think based on the film called The Lawnmower Man. Just a sidebar on that, I remember seeing The Lawnmower Man. It had those incredible computer graphics in it, which is what made the movie.
Oh yeah,
I never liked the movie all that much.
It was garbage.
And all the video games for were the worst.
They're all garbage.
Ever perpetrated on the system. So. Yeah. Not a great back catalog for SCI. With all that said, some people may in fact think to themselves, "Wait a minute, Almighty Mark Aurelius, I've played this game in America, jerk. You might be right, but you didn't play it on a Mega Drive. You would have played the SNES equivalent of this game, which was called Firepower 2000. 2000! That makes it sound cool. The Super Nintendo had a version of this game. It's not identical. There are actually several differences, which we'll get into. But that's one way you could have played this in the States, but you didn't play this version on this machine. Now, before we get into the game proper, better name, Mega SWIV or Firepower 2000?
They're both crap.
Fair enough. But it was on a Mega Drive, so you can at least give it that.
Well, SWIV is really stupid.
Well, and SWIV has meaning, my friend. Oh, dear dude.
I'm aware. I'm aware that it's an acronym, man.
Yeah.
But it's still dumb.
Well, I can't argue with you on that. So
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Just
there you go. So to finish up the flavor text on this, the programming on this was done by Ken Murfitt, who worked on SWIV, by the way. What's so funny about Murfitt? He also did. Remember the old Midnight Club game? Who knew that the guy that worked on SWIV worked on a Midnight Club? Not me. He also worked on Jimmy White, too. If you're a Jimmy White fan.
A little bit of snooker.
He also worked on Lawnmower Man and Mr. Tough. And the artist he used in this was Ned Langman. This was his partner's co-conspirator. Ned worked on Silkworm. So there you go. He also worked on SWIV. He also worked on Rodland, Double Dragon 3. So a lot of them, there's a good Amiga pedigree there. And the composer of the music was David Whitaker, another one of our favorites that we hear about all the time from back in the day. So, most people don't realize that these shooters have plots, and this one's got one, by the way. Get this plot, the Brent. I bet you have no idea what the plot is on this, do you?
Yeah.
You know the plot?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to read it for everyone that doesn't know it.
Oh, okay.
Tests of prototype military airships near Bermuda end in disaster as the airships vanish. Not good. In reality, an underground race captured the airships and are using their technology to build a new, unstoppable army powered by computer drones. Sound familiar? It's like a glimpse into the present. An army that's no nation's army can match, and it's up to the players to stop it. You're going to be controlling Mega SWIV 1 and Mega SWIV 2. Mega SWIV 1 is the helicopter, and Mega SWIV 2 is the Jeep. They've got their own names. Do you know what SWIV stands for? Here's the big quiz.
Oh, man.
You don't know.
I looked it up, but I can't remember now.
It stands for Special Weapons Intercept Vehicle.
Intercept. That was what it was.
It seems like you wouldn't want to intercept it, but that's just me. I mentioned that this game was also released on the Super Nintendo-ish, right? One thing you'll notice is when you start this game is they start differently. The very first level is a Mega Drive exclusive level.
Oh,
in case you didn't know that.
I did not know that.
I don't think it's not the best level, but it is an exclusive
it's pretty good.
level.
It's good.
You will pick one or two players. Now the menu system on this is goofy.
Garbage. Yeah.
When you start the game, you've got your Genesis control in your hand, or your Mega Drive, if you will. If you hit A, B, or C, you will go to a menu section that will allow you to, among other things, remap the 3 buttons, which I appreciated, and add an extra player to that at that point. And then you can start playing. As far as I can tell, when you add an extra player, you've got to decide who's controlling what controller, because I couldn't get one controller to control both vehicles. I had to use the other controller, which is also dumb.
Yes.
So if I'm by myself holding the player 1 joystick and I want to play the Jeep, I've got to put that joystick down, get the player 2 stick, then add myself. It's dumb. Yeah. So that was dumb. I do like the idea that you can remap the buttons.
Well, no, you can select the Jeep.
I couldn't get the Jeep to play on the one player. I had to literally grab the other stick to do it. Anyway, once you start the game, your vehicle fires up. Now, as Brent knows, I almost exclusively play the helicopter, but I did try both in this game to see how they felt. How does this thing work? Well, you drive your vehicle or plane up the screen, and you are shooting and attacking ground and air targets. It's a variety of targets, everything from tanks to enemy aircraft like helicopters and jets, to floating drones, to ground-based mega guns. There's all sorts of different stuff you're going to fight. And you're also going to fight this thing through a variety of levels. I believe there are 7 levels in this. Each level ending in a boss fight. Some of the boss fights, they range from to pretty clever.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say the very first boss fight, it was one of the more clever boss fights I've ever seen. I don't know if you got that far. Did you get past the first boss?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
What
yeah.
did you think about the first boss? You have to line up, once you blow the cover off this building or whatever, you have to line up these plungers by shooting them to the top. You have to get all of the plungers, 4 of them, I believe, up to the top before they'll explode, which means you have to keep working them because they slide back down. I thought that was real clever. I've never seen one like that before.
It all depends on what gun you're using.
Yeah, and which we're going to get to. So your main bullet.
It's not so hard depending on your gun choice.
Your main weapon in this is it's called a needle gun, but that's just straight up bullets. You've also got a flamethrower, a plasma gun, a laser, or as you get later on, you get this thing called the ionic gun. And the laser also comes a little bit later. These guns, you can freely switch between your weapons, which this is a departure from SWIV. It took me a little while to get used to this because I just wasn't used to having the ability to switch guns. And you think to yourself, it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it actually makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I really, really liked, of all guns, I like the flamethrower until I got an upgrade to my spread shot. I think there's the plasma that gives you a wider arc of shooting.
Yeah.
But I mean, and different weapons will do different amounts of damage as you go through the game. So one of your buttons is a fire, one of your buttons is a switch weapons, and one of your buttons uses like your special weapon.
Yeah.
All right. The special weapons are when you pick them up. There's at the bottom of the screen you have a line of stuff down there. And I think you've got 12 slots to hold special weapons. So when you pick them up, they accumulate down here until you're full up. You can get H. H stands for homing bullets. X fires a single batch of straight missiles, and S triggers an expanding ring of fire. So this is a game where you get 3 separate super weapons that you can sort of control what you're holding in your arsenal. This I thought was real clever, actually.
Yeah.
Again, this is not something I was used to. It took a little while for me to get used to having all those weapons, and also to figure out exactly what I was doing, because you don't expect a game to let you have that much jack. You know, and these things liberally fall. So I mean, you can get pretty stoked up with the special weapons, and when you add that to your other weapon, you got something. Now you can run through them quickly. Don't get me wrong. And this is a target-rich environment, and so you're not gonna have any trouble finding stuff to shoot with them. But I enjoyed that aspect of the game. I thought that part was a lot of fun, and adding the different weapons adds a lot to a game that I'm not going to say this game is. I'd say it's above average in terms of what you're after. And there are some clever bits at the bottom. I would still rate this. I can't help but compare it to something like Alcon, or like Raiden, and I would put this game beneath both those in terms of what you're shooting and on the ground and stuff. But it's still fun. And one thing it has over a game like Raiden, for example, is those different super weapons that give you a little dimension there that you don't normally get.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man, and I'm sorry, but it's wrong.
Well, I'll get to you in a second there, LaBow. So on top of that, I want to talk about the graphics themselves. Of course, you've got several different levels in the game, and they're pretty much what you would expect to find in a game like this. You've got levels where you're over water. You've got levels where you're in the desert. You've got levels where you're over volcanoes, and they're pretty well done. I had to look at this versus the Amiga version of SWIV. I would say the graphics in some areas are better, in some areas are worse. But overall, I thought it was fairly pleasing. If you compare this to Firepower 2000, I think what you get with Firepower 2000 is a little sharper image, if I'm honest, on the Super Nintendo. There's a lot of rumor or speculation that MEGA SWIV wasn't completely finished when it got released. Like they just stuck it out there when it wasn't quite tightened up. I don't know if I'd go that far. I'd say it felt fairly tight to me, but I could see if you compare it to Super Nintendo version, it's not quite as sharp. It's not quite. I will say the music is also nowhere near as good as the Super Nintendo version. But with that said, the tunes are very arcadey.
Yeah.
They're almost like I'd say the Amiga has better sound effects, for example. But I thought the music on this was okay. It wasn't, but I thought it did get you in the frame of mind like you were playing an arcade game. Which is sort of what
the
you're
Mega
doing.
Drive has a very unique sound anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't think they necessarily push the limits.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends. Something else you'll notice as you shoot stuff is that these like stars will pop out. You can collect these stars. They're worth 100 points, and at the end of the stage, they're worth bonus points when you get them. And one thing I thought was interesting in this is that when you blow up stuff that creates those stars slide around, and you think they're going to slide around the screen, but they linger for a long time.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to get them.
You don't have to hurry. You don't have to hurry.
You know, you should be able to get the things because they kind of hang out. Now, let's talk about the two different vehicles. The helicopter controls just pretty much like you would expect it to. I found the movement on this. I would say it's substantially quicker than the Amiga version, but I would say it's a little herky-jerky, just a little bit. It's not like what I would call super smooth. I thought the Super Nintendo's version was a little smoother in terms of movement.
The frame rate's probably about 25.
The Jeep is way different. Apparently, and I didn't try the Jeep in Firefighter 2000, but apparently in that one you can jump with the Jeep, and in this one you can't. The Jeep in this is radically different than what I've controlled in the past. You're a big Jeep guy, so this must have been quite an experience for you. This thing moves around like it's almost
speedy.
reminds me of moving a mouse cursor around the screen. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, it's real wacky, and the way it works. I played the Jeep some just so I could say I did, but man, it was hard. Was it harder than it was in Soulworm? I'd say yes.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of
just because it controls so
there's a lot of ground targets. I mean, you got to think in the chopper, you can just fly over walls and crap. And this, you can't. You know, you've got to be careful where you're at all the time. They both pretty much get the same, elements. But like I said, the Jeep's definitely for your more advanced player. There's a level in here, I think it's like level 5, where you both stop playing helicopters and Jeeps and both play jets.
Yeah.
I didn't get this far, but I saw footage of it. We're looking at footage of it now, where you both play the jets. I think that's kind of a nice breakup.
Yeah.
It also breaks up the levels a little bit.
Although, I mean, it plays exactly like the helicopter.
Right.
If you're in the Jeep, it's a huge difference.
Well, and also it's like they're probably like, by then the Jeep guy would probably have a heart attack at that point, because it'd be so difficult to get there. Overall, this is a game when I first started playing it, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't super fond of it, but I got into it. It grew on me, to be honest with you. And I ended up enjoying my time with it. I actually played this quite a bit. It's the perfect game now, I will say this, I almost forgot something very important. You get no health in this. So one shot and you're done. This isn't a game where you can take a hit or two, you die. And so you can get to points where you're cruising along and you get killed. I believe you get an extra man for every 50,000 points, I believe.
It's pretty generous.
But still, you can go through your men pretty quick. Well, that said, someone who's not great at these games, like myself, I managed to get well into the second level of this without having to do any cheating or anything. And I felt pretty good about it, especially given me just getting to play it for the week. I liked it. I liked the feel of it. I wish it was smoother. I hate to say this, but I think the Super Nintendo version is better. It feels more comfortable to play. But you can do worse than Mega SWIV on the Mega Drive. What were your thoughts on this one?
This game's amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, straight up, this game's amazing.
Yeah.
A few things you didn't mention. You can power up your weapon. Each weapon has its own icon, and when you pick it up, it goes up a level.
Yeah, I didn't. I mentioned that you could power them up. I mentioned it.
Calm down, little man. Calm down.
You're going to feel my wrath, son.
So you can go up to level 9. When you die, you don't go all the way back to 0. You just go back 1 level. So dying doesn't mean end of the world. You know, a lot of these games, if you don't have your power-ups, if you can't play it in one man, you're screwed because you have to have those power-ups. In this, they go back 1 level, which can hurt. It's punishing, and that's fine. There's no wrong with punishing the player for dying, but it's not so punishing that you feel like the game is over.
Let's just look at your other weapons.
Well, yeah, but they all go back a level too. So it's interesting. It's an interesting play mechanic that I personally enjoyed a lot. Also, the weapons are varied enough that you will want to switch from time to time. I'm sure you're going to have a favorite. Mine was the plasma because it gave a little bit of a spread. It shot down some bullets, but it didn't. It didn't have the oomph of like the flamethrower. Also, you might be using your plasma gun, right? And then you get a power up for the bullets, 4 power ups maybe. And then you're going to want to switch to the bullets because it's just a better gun. So the game gives you reasons to use other weapons besides just your favorite. That's a hard thing to program for, and they did a really good job.
Did you find yourself switching a lot?
Absolutely.
I did too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff, early on it was all flamethrower, but once I started juicing up my other stuff, I would swap to them because some weapons you want to use on like bigger targets too.
Yeah. Another thing is you can pick up a shield, and much like Silkworm, if you shoot the shield, it will explode and kill everything on the screen.
Yeah.
Or if you have a shield and run into another shield, that is, and the effect for that is awesome. The screen goes like reverse negative image, and it's just this flash. It makes really nice.
The Amiga version has a better noise, but the effect on the Mega Drive is great. It really looks cool.
What's another thing you forgot? Oh, that you get so many special weapons that you don't feel like you just have to hoard them for the boss.
Yeah.
There are things that you can use, and some of them are completely worthless against the boss. There's stuff that you can use throughout the level to advance to the boss, not just save and spam them all at the boss. The main difference, the way the helicopter and the Jeep play differently, the helicopter always faces forward and obviously flies over land targets. The Jeep, you can lock shooting left or right or at a 45-degree angle and then almost strafe. Like, so you could be pointing to the left and moving to the right.
How often did you use that? I mean, my problem with that is you would get stuff would come up that you didn't have a gun aimed toward, and then you're gonna hurry and reconfigure everything real quick. And I don't have the skill to be honest with you.
Well, the Jeep is no question harder. However, the benefit of the Jeep is you don't have to dodge air targets. Helicopters and planes and stuff, of which are plentiful, pretty much the main enemy of the game are all airborne. They fly over top of you, so sprite collision doesn't cause destruction, unlike if you're in the helicopter and another plane hits you, you die. So I thought that was very unique. There's also little touches in this game that if you're not paying attention, you won't notice. For an example, there's one part where there's a train going across the screen. If you shoot you can destroy the entire train. But if you shoot just the engine, the train will start slowing down and eventually stop, right? Because, there's nothing pulling the train now. So it rolls a little bit and then it starts slowing down and then it stops. Little tidbits, little additions like that show that they care about this game.
Yeah.
They cared about making this game.
It's funny because Silkworm had similar little tiny, like you would see planes in the background or coming, and which I always thought was cool. So it's funny how they carried the legacy of SWIV or of Silkworm forward, including the, like you said, the shields, the explosion. The one thing I didn't see any of in here, maybe they appear somewhere later in the game, are the goose ships. They've been in all. They were in SWIV on the Amiga. I didn't see the goose ships in this.
I think I saw representations of them, but no exact copies. you can play this 2 players simultaneous, where one is in the Jeep and one is in the helicopter. Yeah. And from the accounts I saw, that is the way to play. Yeah. Apparently,
we haven't got to play this game together before.
No,
so that'll be fun to try.
That's a thanks for giving thing right
absolutely.
There. The game is hard but not punishing.
Right.
The screen, although it scrolls vertically, it has horizontal movement. You can move the screen about 25% either way from center. And the reason why that's important is your power-ups are all in like little buildings. And when you blow up the building, it fills the screen with power-ups. A lot of those aren't found on the center. You have to scroll to the left or scroll to the right to find them. Perfect for replayability because you start learning the levels. So this game literally ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
It has replayability because you can start learning the stages. It has a perfect balance of challenge and a little bit of luck. It has the star collectibles are important because the extra men will help you get through the game better. Literally, this is a 10 out of 10 game. This is a 10 out of... Yes, it is. Where does it fall flat?
Well, I think it's a little jerky. Again, I don't think it's as smooth.
No, wait a minute. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that the frame rate is low enough. Is the frame rate low? Yeah. But then again, we're used to playing NTSC, not PAL.
Well, yeah, but that's not going to make it jerkier.
Yes, it was.
That's make it slower.
Right.
Listen, I've played good games in a Mega Drive that were not herky-jerky shooters.
This isn't herky-jerky.
It's a little jerky.
No, let me tell you something who's a little jerky.
No,
you're sitting right over there.
Secondly, like I said, I think the music could have been a little bit better. That's something they could have done a little bit better.
Yes, the music could have been better, but I don't think that's enough to knock it off of
I will say the additional level that you get is not what I would call the best level. It's still better than nothing, but it's not, it's okay. Like I said, I thought it was. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good game.
No.
I like the power. I think the power-up system is pretty unique.
It is.
I can't help but compare this to a game like Alcon, and it stands up fairly well.
It's better than Alcon.
No, it's not better.
It is.
It's not.
Because the problem with Alcon is as soon as you die, that's it. Just start the game over. There's no reason to continue. If you don't have your most powered-up ship at some point in the mid-levels, that's it. The game's over. You get one life in Alcon.
Well, this isn't
life.
This isn't a comparison with Alcon, but they remind me of each other, and SWIV did as well. I would say, if you've played SWIV on the Amiga, do you think this is a better game or not as good?
I don't remember it well. I don't remember it well enough to make a comparison.
I'd say it's funny because they ported Battlezone to the. I think Battlezone's an exclusive too, by the way, or not Battlezone, but Battle Squadron, which is another Amiga shooter. And I thought it took a real step backwards on the Mega Drive, but I think this is at the bare minimum a move forward. It's certainly quicker. I don't think it's as pretty. It doesn't sound as good, but it's still good. Overall, I thought this was a pretty fun game. I was pretty impressed. I did get some reviews for it if you're interested, the Brent, because this one actually, believe it or not, there were actual factual reviews put out for this. So Power Unlimited gave it a 73, Mean Machines a 66, Playtime a 60, Sega 16.com a 60, Mega Fun a 59, and Video Games Magazine a 52.
Let me tell you something.
These are low scores.
Let me tell you something. I guarantee those scores are because the check didn't clear.
No.
Those are insanely low
this
scores.
Came out in '94. We'd have to look at what was the feeling of what was going on in '94. It's a fun game, but these games maybe I don't know what caused. I think these scores are low. I'm not.
They're way low.
I'll give you that.
If you don't want to give it a 10, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it a 10.
You know what? I could understand if the sound really bothers you.
The sound's not bad.
If the game not running at 30 frames per second, because I don't think it is. I think it's running at 24.
Yeah, it's running low.
If that's probably fine. If you give this game less than an 8, then I seriously question your ability to critique video games, because this literally has every. I mean, if you don't like shooters, okay, right? That's fine. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to like shooters. And if you don't like shooters, you're not. This game isn't going to change your mind. But for the game, what it is, it plays really well. It has incredible replayability. If you master the helicopter, go play the tank.
Yeah.
Or the Jeep.
Yeah.
You know what?
It is like a whole different game.
Literally a whole different game when you change it. The menus are stupid.
But they work. It's not they're
well, they're stupid.
I mean, it's goofy, but it's not that bad.
I was so impressed with this game. I played it.
Have you heard of this one?
No.
Oh, good.
I could consistently get to level 4.
Yeah.
Which is halfway through the game.
Wow. Was that with the helicopter?
Yeah. You know, I couldn't. I didn't do well with the Jeep. But to be fair, I didn't put forth the effort to learn the Jeep, because it's such a different control scheme.
Did you try the Super Nintendo Firepower 2000?
No.
I'd be interested to try that out and give your opinions on which you think is more a better game.
Oh, probably almost certainly the Super Nintendo.
But I think this is a pretty decent game. It's certainly better than a 52 or a 59. We did not get any Discord action on this, which is a shame, but we had a weird shooting schedule this week. So if you get a chance, give this a whirl. It's funny, Paul Kitching in the chat said this looks like the cartoon version of the Amiga original. I had a similar thought. It's not as sharp as the Amiga original, but in its own way, it looks pretty good. It's got some multiplanar scrolling at some points. It's fun. I think it's something you can get into. And like I said, it moves much quicker than the Amiga version.
With the visuals, just one little quick thing.
Yeah.
I was never in question in what was an enemy bullet, what was an enemy sprite, and what was a pickup for the player. That was never a question at any point in my entire play.
Which is completely different than your game, which we'll get to.
Well, and the reason why that's important is this game is not snappy fast. If you're looking for a bullet hell, this is not it.
This is the kind of game I like because I can actually have success at it.
This is a silkworm level of difficulty and playability.
How do you like the progression of the silkworm into this sort of game? Are you cool with it? I mean,
absolutely.
Now there's a third game, SWIV 3D, which I seem like I've tried out and was not real pleased with. It's something to put on our list. I don't know. Have you tried that one?
No.
Yeah. So there you go. Just to close shop on this, I looked this up on eBay. Loose, you can get a copy of the MEGA SWIV for $11. If you want the box version, you're gonna pay $32. Now, if you're looking to get this on the Super Nintendo as Firepower 2000, loose, you can get one for $13. But the box one I saw going for over $90. Of course, box Super Nintendo games are kind of insane. So that could be part of it. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with that one, and it's funny, when I started out, I was ready to hate it, but I turned the corner. So.
Well, and that's a good thing, because it's a really good game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll play it again. We'll definitely get together on track.
Absolutely.
What did you bring to the table this week, Brent, for a European exclusive?
Yeah,
we're not controversy. A little controversy.
We're not gonna beat around the bush. I played Game Over for the C64.
Game Over.
Yeah.
I'd have heard of this, but only because of the box.
And that is why I picked it. And not for the sexiness. Although there is sexiness, but
what other reason would you pick it?
For the controversy.
Oh,
for the controversy.
But the sexiness is the controversy.
This was released on the Amstrad CPC, the Commodore 64, the MSX, the Thompson T07, and the ZX Spectrum.
The Thompson got in there.
Yeah,
I love it.
This was produced by Dynamic Software.
Spelled stupidly.
And it had a couple publishers. Image Software or Imagine Software is who is credited for the release, but it also Aaron, can you remember the other people that put this out off the top of your head? Summit. Yeah, that was
right there.
Oh, there you go. Both, they released this game twice. And And it wasn't like one company did one company did the other. It's this whole mishmash, screwed up thing, right? Neither of these publishers publish stuff outside of Europe, but the game is available through catalog order in other parts of the world, but like not really.
It sounds like you're trying to bypass your own confidence to me.
Huh?
Yeah, because there's people on the Discord said this sort of kind of got a release.
Well, okay. Do you really want to go down that path, Aaron? Because I could destroy your game.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Mine was a European exclusive.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I guarantee it was sold. Just because you slap another name on it doesn't mean it's not the same game. Anyway,
give me a break.
Anyway, this is it's a horrible game.
Well, you really took the steam out of that.
Yeah, no, this is a horrible game. I'm going to go over the game first because it's the least interesting of the bunch, and then we'll get into the controversy of it. This is a platformer. Would you call this a puzzle platformer, Aaron, or just a platformer? I guess just a platformer, right?
I wasn't that puzzled. I was puzzled.
Oh, no, I was puzzled, but not probably for the reason the game wanted me to be puzzled.
I would call this a platformer. There wasn't really a whole lot of puzzling going on.
How far did you get?
I saw the whole game. I did not beat the whole game.
Okay. There is
being repetitive is its job.
There is a maze element to it, but I guess that's not really a puzzle.
No.
You play as a guy, and you try to get to your friend, your lover. I'm not sure what the pixel art is supposed to be at the end, but you're trying to rescue someone, and you're fighting the. Oh, I'm sorry. You're trying to rescue the queen, but the sprite at the end looks like a guy, and you are
Freddie Mercury.
There you go. You have to break into this facility and rescue them, and then once you rescue them, you just jet out of the world. You don't have to fight your way back out.
One would wonder why didn't you just jet in?
You know what? I don't want to I don't want to think about this game any more than I have to. The graphics for this game are okay, with the exception of you have no idea what some things are. You destroy barrels to uncover power-ups.
Yeah.
But sometimes the power-ups that you uncover will just kill you, and sometimes they won't. And to determine which is very difficult. Did you find that?
I usually just jumped over the barrels, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Because I just like the heck with it. Of course, when you jump, sometimes you'll inadvertently jump over half the screen. This guy's like this guy should be in track and field. He's in the wrong game.
The platform in this game is abysmal. Abysmal. You have this floaty jump that will take you across half the screen, and it wants you to land on little platforms. The stationary platforms,
Wow.
I didn't have an issue with.
Yeah.
But anything that moved, it just felt so wrong. And it was so difficult for me to get past.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
I'm assuming they were simulating like
low gravity
in space or whatever. I don't know. The jumping, listen, when I first started this game, I'm like, holy God, this guy's a super leaper. But
with no run up or anything,
there's a certain charm. It's not a good charm, but once you figure out how the jumping works, you feel like you're in on you figured out the secret, I guess. So when you make it to a platform and stuff, you're like, yeah, I got this figured out because my guy jumps halfway across the screen. You have to make one of those platforms, like the first moving platform. You have to be totally on the other side of the screen and just say, oh, here we go. You may run through stuff. There may be bullets. Doesn't matter. It just keeps on going and hope you hit those platforms. There's a certain joy in it, I guess. A little joy. I'd say it was a lot of joy.
Wow. So the game in its entirety is about 10 minutes long. And if you
Good luck beating it that quick.
Well, I'm saying to go through the game from beginning to end, if you're going to win, it's about 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Which is insulting to the player.
Well,
and the only reason why it's even that long is the last stage is a maze. It's not a maze. It's one of those things where, like, the thing that you need to advance further could be in, like, one of 4 different places, and it's random, and there's no indication of which place it's at. So you just have to go to all the places until you find it. I hate that crap. I hate that garbage. So there's a few different environments. You have like inside of a spaceship, and you have an outside like forest area, and then you have like an outside of the facilities type area.
Yeah.
It all plays the exact same. Your biggest enemy in this game is pits, where you're just gonna fall down them and die.
Yeah.
Nothing feels good in this game. The jumping doesn't feel good. The shooting, you shoot. You have 2 different fires. You either have your special weapon, which can be like this force wave that kills everything in some levels, or it can be a grenade in some levels that it's worthless because the arc in it is as bad as your jump.
The grenade is like the shooting equivalent of the jumping.
Yeah.
Like you have, which is, again, it is sort of fulfilling when you shoot something with it. You're like, yeah, I did it.
And then your other weapon is a pea shooter, which takes 4 or 5 shots on most enemies to do any actual damage and kill them. It's all so unsatisfying. It's so unsatisfying. And there's never a moment in this game where you feel comfortable. There's some places where you have to get into elevators, right?
Yeah.
And to use the elevator, you have to walk onto the elevator, which sounds like a pretty basic concept.
Yeah.
But you have to stop so that your person is on the elevator, and your guy takes steps, and it's like he has a grid that he stops on. But that's not true, because you can turn and take like half steps.
Yeah, or even look backwards.
So to line up to get into this elevator is really difficult most of the time. And it's frustratingly difficult, not fun difficult. So you go through the levels, you have a health meter, and you can pick up different power-ups like invincibility or health regen. But I almost never died from damage. I always died from pits. Did you experience that as well?
Oh, I died from damage sometimes. But I mean, it depends on where you're at or how much you care. There's also that.
Enemies will just spawn on top of you at the edge of screens.
Yeah. Oh, they'll come in from behind when you. I mean, the enemies appearances suck. They also suck. I thought the health bar was pretty generous. I will say that.
It is. And I think the health power-ups are fairly well distributed. I mean, they're random, but they seem to pop up enough. But again, if you fall down a hole, that ain't going to help you. I had no fun with this game. I was so... And what blows my mind is this was fairly well received. Yeah, this was fairly well received across the platforms.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it did well enough to get a sequel.
I did see that.
So
and it got ported everywhere, including just for your edification, Brent. I don't know if you tried this version, but I did stick the MSX version on here, and I'm assuming the MSX version is a direct port of the Spectrum version. Because that's what it looked very, very specky like.
So, Aaron, what do you think the MSX version of the game got, score-wise? That's right, an 8 out of 10.
Whoa.
The Spectrum version got a 7 out of 10. No, I'm sorry, The Spectrum version got an 8 out of 10. The Amstrad version got a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the C64 version got a 7 out of 10.
In some ways, the MSX/Spectrum version looks better. It looks like the guy's moving better. But I mean, neither one of these games. Okay, let me comment on these real quick, if I may.
Absolutely.
Because I've played, we play a lot of games on some of these more simpler systems.
Yep.
This game, it's not a good game. However, I can see the appeal And I'll tell you what the appeals are. Number one, the tape loading screen, super sexy girl.
Well, we're gonna get to that
All
part,
right,
so
I'm
just
saying,
skip
I'm
that for
throwing it
now.
in there.
Right?
Secondly, it's an exploration game. You can go looking around.
Is it though?
It is. You can go. Listen, you've got free roam, especially on the elevator level, to go look around. And so there's a feeling. You sort of get a feeling. It's the old. Listen, some of these flip screen games are fun for you just because of that aspect of it. The bosses aren't bad. I like the fat green dude on the forest level, but I also like the giant spaceman you have to fight, which there's a kind of. But I mean, so the boss is the best part. Everything else about it is not that good. The jumping is weird. The moving of the guy, he looks like he's in a continual. He looks like he's walking uphill every step, even though he's not.
Yeah.
It's not what I would call a particularly original concept. Just go forward, try to get to the end, and it's nothing really stood out as different to me. So am I going to give this thing a high score? No, I'm not. But I mean, is it the worst, most deplorable hunk of crap I've ever seen in my whole life? I would say no. We've seen worse, but graphically, it's real chunky. You know, I mean, the C64 is underserviced here.
Oh yes.
You know, this is one of those games that probably looks and plays better on like the ZX, because if you're not going to use the C64's abilities even close to its utmost, then what are you doing? Then you're just screwing around at that point. And so there's something about the ZX graphics and the palette and the sharpness of what they do that gives it some advantages in some games. And I'd say this is probably one of them. That much I didn't play with the ZX, so I can't back that up. But overall, I played this way less than I played MEGA SWIV.
Yes.
I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
MEGA SWIV got the majority of my time. Yeah. But I did give this thing the old the
college
old
try. Yeah.
And like I said, it's not. You can play it once you understand how it plays. You can have some fun. How about that? We'll just go with that. But I didn't think it was.
I had no fun.
No, well,
my fun equaled 0.
Well, it's not the worst.
I'm not going to give this a 0. I think this is a fair 3 out of 10 game.
Curtis also mentioned something, and you're right. He says the earth tones that Boat loves so much are present, and that's the truth. This is a brown game on the outdoor levels. I did think about Boat quite a bit as we were playing this. I was like, yeah, this is right up Boat's alley of hate.
Well, so let's now talk about the real reason why I picked this. So we both agree game crap.
Well, I think I hate it less than you, but yeah.
So let's talk about the real reason why this game was picked. The cover art for the box is
great,
infamous.
It's great
for its imagery, and this was a piece of artwork that originally appeared as a cover to the heavy metal. The cover of Heavy Metal issue in May '84.
Maybe that's where I
Volume
saw
8,
this.
number 2.
I thought this looked familiar. I used to have a ton of Heavy Metal magazines.
And it was different because for those not looking at home or have not seen this before, the image is of a scantily clad woman in the embrace of, what would you call it, Aaron? A
weird
space marine kind of holding her hostage.
That's right.
And the reason, and she is barely covered. Well, the original artwork, she's not covered at all. And they actually painted her what little bit of an outfit she has onto her for the cover. So when this game showed up in retail stores, they were like, no, we're not putting that on the shelf. And this all happened in Europe. If this happened in America, the game would have never made it to a shelf. Just because our sensitivity to such issues is way worse than over in Europe. So they said, listen, the only way we're going to let you put this game on our shelves is if you put a sticker over top of the exposed nipple of the woman, and it was sort of a insult to the art, because I mean,
they knew what they were doing, though, didn't they?
Well, so here's what. So they said, okay, fine, we're going to do that, and they took the name of the developer and stuck a sticker on all the boxes. Well, not all of the boxes, because there are plenty out there that didn't have a sticker put over top. And
Salacious.
And it was a big controversy. And when you have a big controversy, then you get a lot of publicity.
Right.
So there are a lot of stories out there that kids heard the controversy, right? Naked girl on box. Well, now I've got to play this game.
Oh, yeah.
So it almost assuredly had a boon on sales just because of the controversy that was this box art. And I saw more than a couple testimonials of people that said, listen, I bought this game for one reason, and it was the box. And I think the game was okay, but the box. So there you go. This is one of the earlier.
It's like Barbarian, except Barbarian had a good game.
Yeah.
This had a bad game with a sexy box.
Looking up things for this game, horrible. When you're looking up a game called Game Over.
Yeah.
So I was unable.
Dumb name.
Yes. And it makes no sense.
Every part of this is dumb.
Yeah.
Except for the hot chick.
Well, I mean.
No, that's it. That's the only non-dumb part.
All right, fair enough then. I tried to find this on eBay because I would be interested to see what a box copy of this would go for.
Big money.
But I could not find it. And again, when you're searching for something called Game Over,
quotes are your friend.
No, you can quote it up the wazoo. It's just not going to happen. So I unfortunately cannot give you a price. I'm sure these are out there.
I bet it goes for a few bucks.
I bet it does as well. Now, Aaron, something that is not a game over and is a hit for reasons outside of just their magnificent bosom. That is Retro Rewind.
Oh, yes. RetroRewind.ca is what you're referring to.
That's absolutely true, Aaron. They're not going to give you the big game over. They're going to power up your game and help you fix your systems, either doing it themselves or giving you the supplies to do it, that you can do it yourself.
Absolutely. It's almost like the weaponry in MEGA SWIV. Frank has all these various tools at his disposal, and each tool fits the job in hand. I watched firsthand as Frank and his talented staff went to work on decapping and repairing a classic Commodore computers. And it's not like they just go in there with a $3 Radio Shack soldering iron and a pair of pliers. These suckers are in there with top shelf equipment that I've never seen before. They're knocking caps out like that. They're putting good, solid, brand new caps in there. And that's the way they'll handle your equipment if you send it up there. Do you need your Commodore system recapped? You need it repair done on your Coco or your Commodore? Send it up there. Your Amiga having a little issue with the reading discs or whatever? Send it up there. Now, if you're the kind of person that takes care of their own business, like I am, then you can have Frank provide you with parts that you'll need to repair your machine. He'll also provide you with diagnostic tools, a wealth of goodies at your disposal, accelerators, SD solutions. You can get it all from our good buddy Frank at RetroRewind.ca. That's RetroRewind.ca, Brent.
Absolutely.
The old .ca. And Frank also is a good guy on top of everything else to take care of you.
The dude approves.
There you go. Well, if the dude likes it, because this sucker's not gonna. It's too late to fix anything too stupid. Now, with all that said, Brent, it's time to spin the wheel, make a little deal. What do you got for us this week, my friend?
we traded out a little bit of the old Retro Rewind, and we've got Microprose games.
Microprose, that's our throwback this week.
Back on the wheel.
All right, and we've got a chat choice in there, so people in the chat room, get ready. You may be called upon by your emperor. Go. Would you go?
Gotta fix the...
Now you fix it, just spin the wheel.
A mighty spin.
That's more than I would have expected from the dude, I'll be honest.
You know, the wheel, it really ties the show together.
Uh-huh. What do you got there, dude?
Oh, brother.
What do we got? Spell it
Too
out.
hot for YouTube. It is time for a little Too Hot for YouTube.
From John Bodekar-Shaw?
That is correct.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What does that mean, the Brent?
It means we will be playing games that are of the risque nature. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean sexy time games. It could be ultra-violent games, rude games.
But what's too hot for YouTube?
That's it.
I mean, we got kicked off YouTube one time. Are we too hot for YouTube? I'm just saying. It was on this show, too. So we're going to play super sexy or super violent games that YouTube will not allow.
That's
How
right.
are we going to show the show? We didn't really think this one through, did we?
We will ask John.
Yeah, I've already got a couple in mind.
I do too.
Because I like a little bit of salacious, sexy action, as you know. Listen, I wear this full time, you know what I mean? So that'll be a lot of fun, Caligula style. Hey, we want to thank everyone who popped in to check us out live. We appreciate y'all for getting up early on a Sunday morning. I want to thank everyone who participated in Conversations from the Dark Side, our Halloween Spooktacular from Friday. Had a lot of fun on there, the Brent, along with you and John Bodekar-Shaw, and of course the co-host Jack Flack. Had a good time on there. So that'll be coming up soon if you want to watch it for all your Halloween needs. Brent, coming up in the not too distant future, you know what time it is. It's our next big event, and it's ARG's really our only big event of the year. But it will be a little thing we like to call Thanks for Giving Marathon, happening November 25th, starting 9 a.m. We will be getting together, and we'll be playing games for many, many hours, probably right up until we start Amigos that day. So usually that's about 8 hours of gameplay action. Me, myself, the Brent, will be spinning the wheel and playing games that come off the wheel. We'll almost
I've decided this year. It's something a little different.
You see how this thing works. He just decides, and then I'm subjugated. I'm the emperor here.
We are going to put game types on the wheel. And we're going to spin those bad boys up to see what we get.
Like what?
Shooters, platformers, sports games, action games, role-playing,
so we get
strategy.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's sexy games. Sexy games. With a particularly handsome emperor, for example. So that'll be a lot of fun. Again, that will be the day after Thanksgiving if you're in the U.S. If you're not in the U.S., it's the 25th of November, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I think we can give everyone a hearty, happy Halloween. We hope you enjoy yourselves during the big holiday. And anything you'd like to add?
Absolutely. I want to welcome our newest Patreon, Richard. That's too revealing. Let's just call him Mr. Smith. And although he's not a part of the video this week, we will get him into the supporter video next week. Give his
first and last name. The dude is dumb. We're out the door, everybody. Have a happy Halloween, and we will catch you guys next week. Go forward and be productive for your emperor.
Thanks for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed the show. A special thank you to Deccan Styles for our vector style graphics and BarkBit for our amazing music. Would you like to help keep ARG spinning? You can do so at patreon.com/ARG Presents. Just like these fine folks. Dryrlent 17, Laron Garut, Templar Mar, Z9K9, Jerry Dennington, John Dykeman, Retroalgy, Air Shack, Texas Foosballer, Sundown, O-Wrong, Super Tech Boy, David Terrence, Mr. B, Roushi, Graham, W. Vetke, Dave Velociraptor, Bernhardt Lucas, Steve Rasmussen,
Anthony Jarvis, Bitterblitter, Pajako 6502, Kevin Bean, Andy Jones, Andy Craig, Rob Black O'Hara, Jason Warnes, Mitsuyama, Chris Foles, Frodo and L, The Slow Norris, Terry Howard, Olaf Hope, and Rolo. They all have access to our Discord channel, their name called out in the credits, and visualized in the ending scene. Have an idea for a wheel piece? You can send it to us at ARG Presents at mail.com.